Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
The Murder Mamas.
Welcome.
I love the dance. The head bob dance you do. When they say that.
There's a parrot that I keep, like head bopping.
No.
The bird that does the head dancing to the music. What are those little cute things called? It's been all over my Facebook. Like, it's the same bird. I don't know if it's the same bird, but he, moves his head up and down to the music, and then he fluffs his feathers.
His fluthers.
His fluthers.
He's got those fluthers fluffing.
Anyway,
No, not familiar.
that's what I was
Sounds
doing. Bobbing my head up and down, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
How's it
what
going?
are we doing?
Oh, yeah. What's happening? We're recording on a Saturday, so it's really weird.
It is weird.
Middle of the
daytime.
day. Don't know what's going on.
It's daytime. It's raining.
And it's raining out. Yeah. So, want to get right into it?
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. We're going to go to Finland today.
You're just taking us all across the globe.
All
girl.
across the world.
Korea.
Korea. Yeah.
Finland?
Now we're in Finland.
You took a few stops in Canada there. For a minute.
Yeah, we did like Canada.
You did.
I liked Canada for a while. Yeah. So my husband's from Finland, and
Auntie.
I wanted him to come pronounce all the names, and he thought that would be weird. So I was like, fine, don't give a shit about my podcast. I don't care.
Okay. I don't think you need to air that dirty laundry on this.
So we're going to speak of the Lake Bodom murders. They happened in 1960, and they are still unsolved. And I think they're going to remain unsolved because pretty much everyone's dead.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a weird one. On the night of June 4th in 1960, 4 teenagers were going to head to a campground in Espoo, Finland, to spend time with them. So these people were Malia Bjorklund, Niles Gustafsson, Anna Mackie, and Seppo Boisman.
I wish I could have recorded your face as you tried to say those names.
Okay. So the girls were both 15. The boys were 18.
Okay.
This is in the 60s, so not unheard of. I think the girls knew each other from school, and then the boys were probably familiar with them as well.
Okay.
So on June 4th, 1960, Gustafsson, then 18, headed for a campground in Espoo, Finland, to spend time with his friends. And then they pitched a tent along the shore of Lake Bodom, and it was just a little tent, so not like a huge one,
okay.
just literally they could,
like an A-frame tent.
Yeah, like an A-frame tent that they could just barely sleep in, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
No hanging out. So they pitched their tent, and then they started drinking, and then they started fishing and socializing and doing all the fun things that people do when they go camping. Mm-hmm. And at some point, they retired to the tent. The next morning, 2 boys hiking through the campgrounds on a bird watching expedition noticed the tent from a distance. They weren't close enough to see many details, but it was clear that the tent had been torn and slashed.
Oh.
Nearby, a man with blonde hair appeared to be walking away from the campsite, is what they report.
Okay.
But they didn't say anything of it because they were young and it was early in the morning and they just saw this tent and they just thought it was a collapsed tent, people drinking, shit happens, you know. So
I feel like that really narrows it down. Finnish man with blonde
hair. A blonde hair man walking away.
He might have also had blue eyes.
That's gonna narrow it down. Yeah, exactly.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm. So they continued on, not thinking anything of it. And later that morning, a local passed by the tent they were close enough to observe a shocking sight. Outside of the tent laid Gustafsson and Bjorklund, bloodied and battered.
Those are the 2 boys?
That is the boyfriend and the girlfriend.
Okay.
I think those were the couples, yeah. Authorities found Boisman and Maki inside, their bodies displaying knife gashes and injuries consistent with being bludgeoned. Bjorklund, Boisman, and Maki were all dead. Only Gustafson had survived whatever assault had taken place.
Wow.
Yeah. When the police asked him what had happened, he could only say that a shadowy figure was dressed in black with bright red eyes had violently attacked the group. That was his encounter.
Okay, well, that sounds like a demon.
Right. Well, who the fuck knows? He did murder 3 people.
I'm saying, like, that sounds like
a made-up.
A made-up demon?
Right.
You know, like a horror movie demon?
Yeah. Could be.
Doesn't sound like a man with blonde hair.
Right.
Okay. I just want to lay down on the floor with Big Bird.
Okay. When Finnish police arrived at the scene, he was in pretty bad shape. He had a broken jaw, he had bruises, he had a concussion, he had brain matter spilling out of his head.
Oh.
Yeah. And he seemed to be kind of like in shock, obviously. So, like, given his statement of a figure that had red eyes is probably because he was coming out of a concussion and didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, is my thing.
Okay.
So, police tried to piece together what had transpired based on physical evidence. On June 4th, the group had arrived at the campsite near Lake Bodom, a popular spot for camping and fishing, located about 14 miles from Helsinki, on their motorcycles. The bikes were still there when the authorities arrived, but the keys to the bikes were missing.
Okay.
Gustafson's shoes were also thought to be lost until investigators turned them up roughly a half a mile from the campsite.
Weird.
No murder weapon was ever found. Ever.
Okay.
So we know that a knife was used, and then they know something bludgeoned them as well. Could have been a rock. They don't know.
Like a bat, a crowbar.
Yeah, something. We don't know. They didn't find any of these things. So they just know a knife.
Okay.
The most curious observation was how the killer had launched the assault. The teens had seemingly been knifed and clubbed while they were still inside the tent, with the killer slashing through the shelter in order to stab them. So he was on the outside, just stabbing randomly the people sleeping on the inside.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. This is what they're trying to piece together.
Why?
I
gotta stop asking why. But, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Gustafson had been found on top of the tent.
How weird.
Yeah, I know. According to some version of events, so had Bjorklund, I think his girlfriend, meaning she...
The face you make every time you say Bjorklund.
I don't know how to do it. So they are surmising that she either crawled out of the tent or her body must have been moved by the time the police had arrived. But
is there a chance that, like,
Gustafson's
son?
Yeah.
Is there a chance that he, like, tried to take her out of the tent to, like... Help her?
Maybe.
Because, like, the tent was so little?
Right. Maybe. I mean, they're just, like, right now, they're just gathering evidence, trying to see what makes sense.
Why?
Because they've got 3 murdered kids here and 1 survived. Investigators made their own jobs harder by failing to secure the area completely and inviting search parties to come help look for clues. Finland, 1960. What are you doing?
You know, I want to say I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No.
Especially because, like, forensic science isn't a thing at that time, really. You know, it's like...
It was, help us. Like, please, we need help.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
They don't know that they need to secure a scene to collect DNA because, like, DNA is not a thing. Right. So, like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But also, like...
Yeah. It's not a good one.
I'm very conflicted on it.
Yeah.
It's like, you shouldn't have done that, but, like...
they didn't block off any of the crime scene. So people were like, there was a report saying that there were footprints walking away from the scene, but then like they couldn't photograph any of that because then like 8,000 other people came through the scene. And
so like that I think is an issue.
Yeah. Like how are they supposed to know what's what?
Yeah.
Yeah. The likelihood of finding a resolution did not seem promising. No arrests were made, and only a handful of suspects emerged in the years that followed. One person of interest was Carl Valdemar. It's Gyllstrom.
Glastrom?
Yeah. And he ran... Glastrom? Yeah. He ran a... Is that not good?
The face. It's not even the... I don't know if the pronunciation's right, but it's the face and the conviction when you say it.
I'm really trying.
It's so funny.
Okay. So he was a businessman, and he owned a kiosk, like
a mall kiosk?
Yeah, like a
shop,
like near the campground. I don't know. Like there's like a strip mall and he had a kiosk in it, I guess.
Okay.
So he was known as Kiosk Man. So we're going to call him Kiosk Man because his name is too hard to pronounce.
Kiosk Carl.
So he was reportedly an extremely irate man who often took issues with campers and didn't like children or noise.
Same.
So, like, he lives by a campground and he doesn't like campers. Why do you live there? Move somewhere else.
Maybe. Okay. But maybe he lived there before the campground got really popular.
Maybe.
And then, like, people start showing up and they leave trash and they're loud and they party and there's beer and blah, blah, blah. And that pisses him off.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it.
Yeah. But...
Although, I just made all of that up. So I get it if it fits the made-up thing I just made up. So...
He was said to have cut tent stakes out of spite, throw rocks at visitors when he was in a bad mood, and then he put razor blades inside of apples, so hoping that children would bite into them.
Is that where that myth comes from?
I think so, probably.
All right, Kiosk Carl. This story is totally random. I got married on a golf course that's around, like, there's neighborhoods around it.
Right.
Someone called the police on my wedding for noise. It wasn't even, like, past the noise time.
Right.
And the police showed up. I'm like, why are you guys even here?
Right.
And, like, if you live at a golf course where they hold events every weekend, why would you call the police?
Yeah.
Like, my wedding ended at 10. Like, it was like 8:30 when they called. Yep. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Maybe people do.
Yeah, I guess so. So, yeah, he was thought to be someone that may have been involved because of his past and his shady beings with the other campers. The theory gained momentum when he died by suicide in 1969. Supposedly, before dying, he drunkenly confessed to the murders. As damning as that seemed, police declared Kiosk Man could not have committed the crime. According to his wife, he'd been in bed with her on the night of the attack, though some argue it was a coerced alibi. The confession it was not clear what may have prompted him to do that or say that. But the next day, he walked into the Lake Bodom and drowned himself.
I don't believe an alibi that is, like, one person.
No.
He was in bed.
No. Especially with your wife. Like, that
like,
shouldn't be... You have to verify something else.
No. Yeah. I need some other sort of proof.
For sure.
Because, like, I would lie for my husband.
Yeah, for sure.
My husband would lie for me.
Yeah.
As unethical
100%.
as it, I would lie for you. Yeah. I'm not to be trusted.
I just started like, whoa, I never said I told the truth. I am not a good person. I do not light up.
I'm a kind person who is thoughtful, I think.
Yes.
But, like, I'm also, like, gonna have your back.
Yeah.
Unless it's really bad.
Yeah. If it's murder.
I guess this one was murder.
Yeah.
That's dicey.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I would lie for you.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But police had other leads too. There was a guy named Paulie Luma who was said to be in the vicinity of the campsite, but his alibi for that night being in another town was confirmed.
That's an alibi.
Yeah, that's an alibi. Then they had Pinti Sonin, who was a crook who confessed to the murders while being held in jail on other charges. Little else linked him to the crime, however, and police considered it nothing more than a jailhouse bragging. So, like, why do people come up to confess?
Didn't we talk about this? You can't ask why.
Yeah. All right. So
I was going to ask why.
Another suspect, and his name is Hans Assmann, Assmann, Assmann.
Nice. Nice.
Was also
Hands Assmann.
Hands Assmann. He was very suspicious. A physician named Jorma Palio insisted that at some point after the murders, Assmann had come into the Helsinki Surgical Hospital with dirt under his fingernails and blood on his clothes. English language accounts of the crime don't specify why he was seeking treatment at the hospital, only that there was blood and he was very dirty and he was acting irrational. And he came in for some sort of treatment. I don't know what it was.
Was it like knife wounds to his hands? Like from people trying to fight back from being murdered?
Right. And then it says, but when police looked into it, they found Assmann had a credible alibi.
Which was?
I don't know if I think I get it.
Was he at home with his girlfriend?
He was fucking someone.
Again, I don't believe that.
Is what they came up with. They said credible alibi, and then they didn't specify what that alibi was. But later on, it was discovered that he was fucking with some...
Having some relations.
Yeah, having some relations with another
Making
woman.
love to someone. Again, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I need you to be at a movie theater.
Right.
You gotta keep that ticket stub.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The credit card statement.
Yeah.
I need that.
Yeah. So, no...
it couldn't have been me. Here's my Whataburger receipt.
In 1960 in Finland.
I'm saying...
Yeah. I get it. So no one, it seemed, could be placed at the scene. No other man had come out. Okay, so for decades, the Lake Bodom mystery sat unsolved. Meanwhile, DNA testing was growing into a viable way to re-examine both current and cold case files, first being used in the 1980s. But Finland, with just a single forensics lab, the only one lab in the entire country.
How many people are in that country, though?
I don't know.
Isn't it like 1 million or something?
I don't know.
It's like some ridiculously small number, like
Maybe.
less than Houston.
Probably, yeah, maybe.
So now I need to know.
They only had one lab, so they had little bandwidth to turn his attention to old investigations. The Lake Bodom murders weren't revisited until 2004, when a fresh look at Gustafsson's shoes became the focal point of the new round accusations. Forensic scientists at the country's National Bureau of Investigation's crime lab tested the shoes and found blood from the victims. Remarkably, the shoes were missing any blood from Gustafsson himself.
4.78 million in 1980.
In 1980, yeah.
It's only 5 million
Yeah.
now.
Okay. They found his shoes. They tested it. They're doing this DNA testing now. And they found that all of the victims' blood were on his shoes, but there was no blood from Gustafsson himself.
Wait. Hold on.
They have Gustafsson's shoes.
Okay.
They're DNA testing it. It's like 1980 now.
Got it.
And they see that there's blood from every single person in the tent, the 3 people.
Oh, but him?
But not his blood.
Ooh.
On his own shoes.
That's interesting.
So, how did their blood get on his shoes? And then how did his shoes end up a half a mile away from the campsite?
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, now
What's the theory?
Well, I'm kidding.
Sorry, I got excited.
So now the authorities believe that he had committed the attacks himself, then discarded his shoes before somehow assaulting himself to make it look like he had been maimed by a third party.
No, you told me there was blood.
Remember, there's, blood brain
No.
shit. He had a concussion.
No.
He had... Okay, so investigators theorized that Gustafson could have been compelled to murder the three because of some jealousy. Indeed, someone who was staying at a nearby campsite the evening of the murders testified in court, like 20 years later or 40 years later, so this isn't like, this is way long, that she heard Gustafson and Boisman in a heated argument, with Gustafson appearing to be heavily inebriated. So, they were both wasted just having a boy fight. This is from somebody who came forward not the next day, but 40 years later.
No, I don't believe that.
Okay. Or maybe Gustafson, Gustafson believed Boisman was making a pass at her. They're trying to piece together.
They're trying to make a motive.
Why it's his blood not on the shoes and everybody else's is. The police hypnotized Gustafson had been exiled from the tent, possibly...
Did you just say hypnotized?
Did I say that?
Yes. Theorized
that he had been exiled from the tent, possibly after a fist fight with Boisman, and he left him with the fractured jaw. So the boys got into a fight, and Gustafson got the fractured jaw by the other guy.
Okay. Which
is weird because they're all friends. So, and then he returned.
That's a serious punch too. It takes a lot to break a jaw.
That's what they're saying. If he had a broken jaw, he's going to be in a lot of pain. He's not going to go have the ability to murder and strength to murder 3 people. With blood, if he just if they were fighting and he got his ass kicked by his friend, he has a broken jaw, he's got brain stuff coming out of his head. Do you think he's really gonna be oh, now I'm fucking drunk as hell, and now I'm gonna go murder 3 people? That seems like a bit of a stretch.
I agree.
They say he then returned in a rage. The theory went swinging a knife through the tent until all of his friends were dead. The district prosecutor in Espoo had enough faith in the story to bring charges against Gustafson with the potential.
Still alive?
I think he's dead now. With the potential for life in prison if he was convicted. In protesting his innocence, his lawyer Rita Leptimi argued that Gustafson's blood had been inside the tent and that being plummeted at the hands of Boisman to the point of a broken jaw would have left him in no condition to violently murder 3 people.
I agree.
Leptimi also criticized the witness's testimony of the camper who had stayed silent about the fight she had purposely witnessed. She had reportedly witnessed 45 years earlier, so that kind of gets thrown out too. But they're just bringing these people in to just try and get someone charged with the murders.
I just feel like eyewitness testimony is always especially we're really bad at remembering things.
No,
we're really bad at it.
I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Humans, as a whole, having the recall is really bad. We're bad at it.
Yeah. If you ask me where I was 25 years ago today, what? I don't even know how old I am. What?
There's sometimes where I ask my siblings, did this happen?
Right.
Is this a thing that happened? Or, is this a movie we actually watched? Or did I dream it and my brain's that's real?
Yeah.
We're not good at remembering those kinds of things.
Especially that many years later. If she had come forth the next day and then got called to trial 40 years later and then said her same exact statement, maybe, but no, not just out of the blue. So
that's weird.
During his trial, they brought him to trial.
Oh my gosh, they did?
Yeah. So in 2005, they decided to charge Gustafson and bring him to trial. And the officer that made the arrest was saying that Gustafson was so candid after his arrest and said, "What's done is done," predicting that he'd get 15 years for the crime. So this is what the cop's saying that Gustafson said. But Gustafson rejected that and stuck to the same story that he had been telling for decades. His story never changed. So, yes, it's weird. Like the shoes with everyone's blood on them but his. And then his shoes were found a half a mile away from the site. And he was found there. Ladybird. Sorry. It's just really hard to put into perspective how he could have done this, why they're all of a sudden bringing charges against him 40 years later. Like, it's just out of the blue that this just happened.
I mean, his injuries were primarily his head, right?
Yeah.
But, like, what if... I guess I'm having a hard time visualizing, like, where on the shoes the blood was found.
Oh, it's on the front part. Like there's pictures. I can post pictures.
Like like where your toes are?
Yeah.
So, like, but again, listen. So,
I'm listening.
I know. So, if primarily, like, his injuries are, like, you said the back of his head?
Yeah.
Like, behind his ear.
I would think, yeah.
Don't you think, like, the blood would drip sort of down his back?
Yeah.
Rather than the front of his shoes?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So, the blood was found right there.
Okay.
All those little spots. So... He continued to tell his same story that he had gone fishing with Boisman and that there was no argument. Nothing like that happened. They were fine all night. They retreated into the tent afterwards and went to sleep. The court ultimately found that there was insufficient evidence to convict Gustafson, citing that too much time had passed to compile an accurate picture of the event. Gustafson was freed. With nearly 60 years having passed since the events of June 1960, no answers appeared to be forthcoming. The crime is still part of Finnish folklore. It inspired one heavy metal band to be dubbed themselves Children of the Bodom. And the band even released a beer made of water from the lake.
Wow.
Especially with that guy, so, yeah. Back to Hans Assman. I don't think I did this. I have my notes all over the place.
All right, let's go back to Assman.
Sorry, he was rumored to be a prison guard at Auschwitz during World War II. He was part of the German Air Force in Luftwaffe.
I'm sorry.
Luft waffle.
Luftwaffe.
Yes.
I learned German in college.
Oh, good. And he did get a full pension from him. And so he was believed that at this time he was probably in Finland, recruited as being a spy for the KGB, because this is like when the Cold War was going on and everything was happening. So the kids that said that they saw a man leaving the scene, they gave the police a sketch of what that man looks like. Then Gustafson himself gave a sketch, and it was the same fucking sketch.
Wait, but didn't he say it was like a guy, like a red-eyed thing?
That was like right when he...
Right after.
Yeah, like when they actually asked for a sketch artist to come in.
Dude, these sketches are something else,
and
man.
then he shows up at their funeral, and you can see the person. It's circled.
The funeral?
I don't know.
I'm looking at it.
There's pictures, and then there's a circle of him. Yeah, so that's the funeral. And that's that guy. Doesn't that look like the fucking sketches?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he was said to be maybe a spy living in Finland. He met a Finnish woman named Vieno, and she was also expected as a spy as well.
Suspected to be like a spy?
Yes. She moved around countries with different names, and then they started just traveling together, and it was just weird. Okay.
Also, one thing I'm noticing about the shoe, the blood on the shoes.
Yeah.
It's like primarily on his right foot.
Yeah.
Like most of it. Mm-hmm. And not so much on his left foot, which I find to be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so back to...
Are we starting again?
Assman. Yeah. Okay. He's the one that the doctor said he came into the hospital looking all disheveled, and he had blood on his shirt. And
oh, that was him?
Yeah. Was it not? Did I say something else? But he explained off the blood being a drunk-fueled night of dogfighting and being like beating with his friends or whatever they do. Like, I don't know how boys
weird.
Like, like MMA stuff. I don't know. Fuck.
Okay.
So like the cops and the doctors were just like, oh, okay, well that must be true. And so they like let him go. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they just like let him go. When his sketch came out to the police, he had longer hair. He shaved his head so that he would look different than what the sketch artist came out with.
Well, that's a little suspicious.
Yes. So I think he was the actual guy who did it.
Okay.
Because of the kiosk man who was reportedly said to maybe have done it. The angry guy.
Okay.
His wife, before she died, she said, I gave that alibi for him. So like he wasn't with me on that night. So it made it weird, like
suspicious.
She was like, I was scared of him, of what he might do to me and so that put like a dent in the investigation. And then the next day, he had gone out and then drowned himself. So like that was weird. So do we think it's that guy? I mean, that's a heavy possibility. This ass man guy is also a possibility because he looks exactly like the sketch artist. He was seen in the woods, like he was seen camping in that general area like several weeks beforehand.
Did he have blonde hair?
He had blonde hair.
Long?
He had long hair. He cut it after the sketch came out.
It seems real suspicious.
He had beat his girlfriend and threatened to kill her. And then I think they linked him to another murder of a girl that he had raped and then murdered. So this has never been proven, but he looks like maybe a good possibility.
Okay. I think it's Ass Man.
Yeah. I think it has to be.
Well, and I just find it really strange. Like, is there any link that he knew these people? Like, why would you show up to their funeral?
Right. Yeah.
Like, that to me feels like a serial killer, like, keeping what's the word? Trophy?
Yeah.
Memento?
Yeah.
Or, like, trying to involve themselves in the case.
Yes.
Like, that's what that feels like to me.
Yeah. And he looks eerily similar to the sketch.
The sketches are wild.
And the sketch was done by Gustafsson and the other boys. They're not related at all. Like, they've never even talked to each other.
Yeah.
So, like, how would they come up with the same sketch that happens to be this guy, Ass Man, who was at their funeral?
And it's not like, when you post the pictures, you'll see, like, Ass Man is not a generic looking man.
No.
He has strong, very unique features.
Yes.
Especially his nose.
Yes.
I thought.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, very hooked almost, or, like, crooked on his face.
Yeah, he's a bigger, he stands out, like...
He's tall. He has, like, strong eyebrows.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You would not
you'll know who I'm talking about. Like, once I post a picture, you'd be like, oh, it's that one right there. I mean, it is circled, but... but you'll know. But yeah, and they thought that maybe he was a spy. I don't know what that has to do with him killing campers, but that's how they place him in Finland during that time. Or
like what he was
doing, like why he was there in the first place, because he's not Finnish. He was
German.
Or Russian.
Oh, he's Russian?
Yeah.
Hans Assmann is Russian?
Yeah.
Nah. No. Hans Assmann is German.
German. Sorry, I don't know why I was
German.
Yeah, German.
Hans.
Yeah.
Hans is Ashley. He's German.
I don't know why I said that. Yeah. Yeah. And so they think that he was probably a spy just living over there and just to get his kicks off because he used to be a guard at the jail in World War II.
Well, and like probably saw some fucked up shit, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure he's not okay after all of that. Yeah. Nobody in that time is, but yeah.
A lot of trauma.
And they linked him to a different murder as well.
Well, then, like, maybe, I don't know. This is just, like, really off the cuff, but, like, maybe being involved in being a guard at, you said Auschwitz or somewhere else?
Yeah.
like being a guard there, like ignited something in him.
Yeah.
Like you said, sort of like kicked it off.
Yeah.
That made him more psychopathic than he would have been without that trigger.
Yeah. Probably.
You know?
100%. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, the poor guy, he was taken to trial, but he...
Oh, yeah. What happened with that?
Yeah. Because my fucking notes are all over. Like, so he was taken to trial, and it was proved that he was not guilty. I mean, they didn't prove it, but they just, like, couldn't provide evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he did do it. So he was let off after like 60 days in jail or something. And then the government paid him 44,000 euro for his inconvenience of being held in prison. So like he was wiped clean of the murders.
Like,
and I don't
acquitted.
think he did it. Yeah, acquitted. I'm pretty sure he's dead now.
I think you can like beat yourself.
Yeah.
To like brain matter.
Yeah.
Coming out.
Yeah. And a broken jaw. I mean, I guess you could probably...
Like, I'm honestly shocked he survived.
But, like, yeah, and so it was said that he... Like, where's the murder weapons? The murder weapons were never found. Why were his shoes a half a mile away? So he walked a half a mile away to bury his shoes that he didn't really bury and then walk back to lay it back on the tent and pretend like he had been beaten up with the rest
just leave?
Yeah, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, he was found on top of the tent next to his girlfriend. So, and then his girlfriend had the most stab wounds out of all of them, and she was actually naked from the waist down, but no evidence of rape. So... It's a weird one. But, like, why were his shoes found a half a mile away? And their motorcycle, the keys? Gone. Their wallets? Gone. The murder weapons? Gone.
Did they, like, look in the lake?
Yeah, they looked like they had 8,000 people out searching for them.
In the lake.
Oh, I don't know if they, like, drained the lake or if they went in there.
Could you scuba dive in the 60s?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can. I don't know if they did that or not, but they looked around. I mean, they had like a whole search party, like of 8,000 people that were searching for this. Well, that's how they found the shoes. But like, where'd their murder weapon go? Where'd their keys go?
I'd say like if you threw something in the lake, right? Yeah, like I'm sure true. Now someone could go like scuba dive that lake.
Yeah, that's true. They'd find Kiosk Man. He's in there. Yeah. So I don't know. But I don't think he did it. He had too many injuries on him for... I
don't think that you are able to do that with the amount of injuries he's sustained.
No, I don't think so either.
Seems like a very Herculean effort.
It does seem weird, like, people come back and say, like, how do you overtake two 18-year-olds and two 15-year-old girls, like, if you're just one person? But, like, if his account is right, they were all sleeping inside the tent.
Yeah, it's not hard when people
maniac just came and just didn't even come in the tent, just started stabbing outside, like, just being disheveled and trying to get the fuck up. Yeah. Like, that would, I think that would be very hard. Because you're trying to, like, get up and you're thinking you're out of the tent. But
also, if they were drinking, right? Like,
and they had been drinking and
maybe you're not waking up instantly and ready to go.
Right.
You know, like,
you don't know
takes a minute.
What's going on. Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it has still not been solved. And, like, unless they get their shit together, I don't think it ever will be.
I think it's one of those that is just going to be...
Yeah.
Unsolved.
It's going to be unsolved. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
And if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.